Hello and welcome to another episode of Froch on Fighting with me, Carl the Cobra Froch, former unified super middleweight world champion and International Boxing Hall of Famer, in case you didn't already know. This episode is brought to you by Cobra Casino. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, actually my first UFC guest, and he just happens to be the heavyweight champion, interim heavyweight champion, but I think people know he's the real champ. I don't know if that's disrespectful to Jon Jones, but we'll get into that. But Tom Aspinall, thank you for joining me. Great to have you on. How are you, mate?
Thanks, mate. It's nice to finally get on. I'm actually a Froch on Fighting subscriber myself, so
oh, good lad.
I'm a big fan myself, mate. It's nice to speak to you.
Yeah, brilliant. I wasn't going to ask you, but I'm glad to hear you're on the channel. I was going to say then, where do we start? We'll start with Saturday night. What a fight that was. Well, it wasn't much of a fight, was it? It was a 60-second wipeout job. What do you make of it?
Yeah, you know, if I can do that every time, I'll absolutely do that every time. Do you know what I mean? My fights, I've got the shortest fight time average in the UFC. It's under 2 minutes now. I've had 10 UFC fights, so it's going pretty good. You know, I'm pretty untested at this point, which is great. I like keeping people guessing. Do you know what I mean? If I can do that every time, but you know, big guys and like 6'5", 18 stone, whatever. The gloves are tiny, mate. Do you know what I mean? The gloves are, there's 3-ounce gloves. There's not much padding in them, mate. And like I say, big guys, takes one shot. So when I land, they go over, luckily.
Are you concerned that you're not getting the rounds and the distance and the time, or you're obviously doing that in training?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the biggest criticism on my career so far, is that I'm kind of running through people quick. But that, in my opinion, that's a criticism on my opponents. That's got nothing to do with me. Like, I'm turning up, doing my job, and of course the opponents before the fights, they're smack talking, they're saying, I'm going to drag him into the deep water, and like, please, someone drag me into the deep water, because I'm prepared for it. Do you know what I mean? I don't just turn up and expect a 1-minute fight every time. I'm preparing myself for 25 minutes, because title fights in the UFC, we fight 5-minute rounds. So my last 5, so if you fight a main event or you fight a title fight, it's 5 5s. A standard fight would be 3 5s. But my last 5 fights have been either for a main event or a title. So, mate, I'm prepared to go 25 minutes every time I step in there. I'm expecting to go 25 minutes. The issue is, I managed to get my opponents out of there pretty quick. So, as I said, that's it's not really a criticism to me. I don't take it as a criticism personally. It's more a criticism on my my opposition at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that. And Mike Tyson early on in his career was knocking everybody over in the first and second round, and people were questioning, oh, when he steps or when he has to do the rounds, and it was never a problem, was it? Let's be honest. Mike Tyson blasted everyone away, and then obviously he got beat late on in his career, and people argue about his career, but I'm comparing you to Mike Tyson because he was a monster early on, knocking everybody out, and he didn't have a problem when he had to do his first 10 and 12 round. He was still a monster, still doing the job. And you called out Jon Jones on after your fight, who's actually the current heavyweight champion. But he's not been busy, he's not been in there. I mean, you're a busy, active fighter, and the active fighters are the best fighters in boxing and in MMA. And I'm not going to claim to be an MMA expert, because I'm not, I'm getting into it. I mean, I've been watching Paddy the Baddy. My wife was watching him on, I don't know if it was a series. I don't think it was Netflix, but it was something. So you get the interest in the sport when you get to know the character. And who did I watch last time? Was it Gaethje and Holloway? It went toe-to-toe in the last round. They didn't need to. It was a fucking heavy knockout. I think it was Holloway that knocked out Gaethje. And I just look at these fights and think, wow, this is like, and these are the best fighting the best as well. And there's like one champion per weight. And it's just interesting to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm boxing through and through. But another combat sport like MMA, when you get to know it a bit more. And Dan Hardy, the outlaw, was from Nottingham. Paul Semtex Daly, I used to train with them a little bit. No mixed martial artists, but do a bit of body sparring and a bit of boxing. But now I'm really getting into it. And to have you on as a guest is brilliant. But yeah, go back to you. You called out Jon Jones. That's obviously a fight you really want. Do you think that's going to happen soon? Do you think he wants it?
No, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want, as you said though, so we're in a really like unprecedented area within the UFC at the moment, is where usually there's one champ every weight. That's the way it works. in the UFC at least. But now we're getting to the point where it's becoming a bit more boxing-esque, and I'm not trying to disrespect boxing. I love boxing, but they you know, you guys have like 4 or 5 champs at each division, whereas we don't really have that. We tend to just have one guy at each weight, and right now in the heavyweight division there's 2. Now what I've got at the moment is I'm trying to fight Jon Jones, and he's not trying to fight me. He's trying to do anything that he can to avoid me, because he's scheduled to fight a guy called Stipe Miocic. Stipe hasn't fought for 4 years, and he's coming off, his last fight was a knockout loss. Now why should he be fighting him when I've run through all the contenders? Do you know what I mean? I've beat like 8 guys in the top 10 at this point. There's no, you know, it shouldn't really happen in my opinion, but that's what's happening right now. It's all political and stuff. But yeah, I feel like I'm the guy to beat Jon Jones, but he's running from it.
Yeah, you're flying at the minute though. You're flying. You've got that knockout win, and now you're just kind of biding your time and waiting. I was waiting for the Kawasaki fight, the WBC champ, and I waited over a year, and then he vacated at the final hour, and I fought Pascal for the vacant title. It was frustrating, but you're in the position now where I can kind of empathise with, because you're the interim heavyweight champ. If anybody, from what I'm hearing and reading, knows UFC, they've got you as the main champ, the real heavyweight champ, but you ain't got that validation, have you, until you've got that main title. So it must be frustrating. But moving on from that, did you see Anthony Joshua said to Alex Pereira that he should maybe try boxing? He's a light heavyweight, isn't he, Alex Pereira?
Yeah, I mean, there is talk about him coming up to heavyweight a little bit, but obviously that's not happening at the moment. Yeah, I've seen that. What was he getting at with that then? Is he saying that he wants to fight him, or is he just saying that he shouldn't do boxing?
Not he wants to. I don't think he wants to fight him unless Pereira's on about stepping up to heavyweight. But I think he's just saying to him, you should make the crossover, because maybe there's more money to be earned in certain instances where UFC fighters come over to box. I mean, we saw it with Ngannou. I know he gave Tyson Fury a tough fight, but then he got flattened, didn't he, by AJ? But he made big money. So maybe he was just saying, look, Pereira, you might have the style to come up and do boxing. Maybe he's got one eye on him because he's a light heavyweight, maybe a small heavyweight if he stepped up to boxing. But what do you make of that? How do you think Pereira would get on in boxing?
I mean, he's got good hands, but having good hands in MMA and actual, you know, traditional boxing style is completely different. I think that a lot, because punching is part of our sport as an MMA fighter. Obviously, punching is quite. It's not a big, you know, it's quite a big part of our sport. It's not the main part of our sport, but you know, we do punch one another, obviously. But I think that if someone's successful boxing in MMA, they automatically think, oh, I can go over and beat boxers. But as someone myself who's done a lot of sparring with boxers, high-level boxers, I sparred Tyson Fury for a long time.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, I sparred, you know, a lot.
And how did you get on with him?
Well, it's different, mate, isn't it? It's different. Like, there's a lot of things that you can get away with in boxing that you just can't get away with in MMA, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? There's all kinds of different techniques. So I think that, yeah, he's definitely got really, really good hands. One of the best hands, you know, in MMA for an MMA fighter. But I think switching over to boxing, I'm not saying he can't win, because of course he can. But you know, if you're in your 30s and you've been boxing since you were 10 years old, it's different, mate. It's way different than MMA.
How do you think you'd get on? You've sparred with Tyson Fury. You've obviously tasted what it's like to be in there. I mean, Tyson Fury is one of the best to do it in the heavyweight division, because he's got quite fast hands, he's elusive as well, has been able to punch a bit, and he's big. How do you feel you'd get on with professional boxing if you had a go at it?
I've had one fight, actually, professional boxing. I've had one.
I thought you had a bit of background, so you did have one pro fight.
Yeah, I still train with Peter Fury now.
Did you retire undefeated?
Yeah, just retired undefeated, yeah.
Good lad.
No,
what a guy Peter Fury is. You mentioned Peter Fury, what a guy he is. I had him on the channel a few weeks. I've got so much respect for him. He's a good bloke, top trainer, proper man.
Yeah, great guy. He's a top fella, Peter, and I still work with him now. I still work my hands with him now. But yeah, I mean, I sparred with a lot of top heavyweight boxers. I sparred with I sparred with Tyson Fury, I sparred with Joe Joyce, I sparred Daniel Dubois, I sparred David Adelaide, I sparred Nathan Gorman. I sparred quite a lot of boxing round with high-level boxers. But it's different, mate. It's different. It's just way different. Yeah. You know, 12 rounds is a long time to be in there. Punching, you know, just exclusively punching. And you know, we do all kinds of different stuff. It's different. It's different, mate. It's like saying, how would an MMA fighter get on with a? How would a boxer get on an MMA? Like, they'd have a chance. Of course, they can punch. They can punch you hard, but there's a lot more variables in both sports in their own disciplines. So, I think you're a bit ignorant if you just think you can just jump over and do the other one easily. Do you know what I mean? It's going to take a lot of time before you adjust.
Is it something you don't think you'd ever consider? Would you not fancy it? Do you just enjoy the MMA too much? Or do you think you make a far better MMA fighter than you would a pro? Because obviously you had that one pro fight, and now you're absolutely smashing it in the UFC. So you've firmly made your mind up.
Well, I'm definitely going to stick with MMA for the time being. I've got a lot more to do in the UFC at the minute. But with what them Saudis are paying, you know, if we're talking 15 million,
never say never.
You can never say never. Do you know? You know, at the back end of my career, I might look into that kind of thing. But right now, I've got a lot more work to do with the UFC. But I'll never say never to it.
No, too right. It's interesting and fair play to you. You're a big, strong guy. You can obviously fight on your feet. You've had your professional match, and you're sparring with top level. So watch this space. Tom Aspinall for the future heavyweight champion of the world, boxing.
I don't know about that, mate. I don't know. I'd take a couple of money fights, but to be a world champion, it's a lifetime of it's a full body of work in it to be a world champion. I'm not going to be a world champion, mate, but I might pop over for a few quid.
Hey, listen, I said it, not you, but don't write yourself off. And if there's a few quid available, that's why at the end of the day, that's why we're getting punched in the head. Yeah. We're getting punched to get paid. Right, we've had some questions from some of your fans, I'm assuming, unless they're abusing me on here. So I'm going to run through a couple of questions from UFC fans, if you don't mind. Actually, before we move on to that, how do you think Tyson Fury will get on in a rematch against Usyk? Obviously, he got beat in a close fight. Just like to know what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great fight, wasn't it? As far as it was a great fight. I love both guys. I think at the minute, as you said, I've done a lot of sparring with Tyson. I'm friends with Tyson, but it's difficult to not be an Usyk fan at the moment. I think the guy's incredible.
Yeah, I totally resonate with
that. I don't know. I think Tyson's kind of adopted a bit of a different style than when I trained with him. When I trained with him, he was very, very elusive, and now you can kind of see he's getting a bit older. He's kind of like on the back end of his career type thing, and he's kind of changed his style a little bit, whereas Usyk's still very springy and elusive. But to answer the question, I think it was such a close fight, it's difficult to call, and I think it can go either way, but in my opinion, you can beat a guy once, you can beat him again. So I would probably lean a bit more towards Usyk to beat him again. Yeah, and that was quite an educated answer as well, and I'm not kissing your arse, but Tyson Fury has slowed down. He's not as elusive. He doesn't throw as many feints. His punch volume's not there, and he's not as light on his feet as he used to be when he was younger. He's a bit older now, as he's just past 35, 36 years old. Even though Usyk's a bit older than him, a couple of years older, he's still got that. He's bouncing on his feet. He's throwing feints. He's moving. He's got the punch output. And Tyson Fury has 100% definitely slowed down quite a lot. And yeah, he's already lost once. He had a good few rounds in the middle of the fight. Tyson did. He had some good success around 5 and 6. Or was it 4, 5 and 6 or 5, 6, 7? He was doing well. But to maintain that and continue it against someone like Usyk and finish strong, it's near impossible. And Tyson Fury, I think, is past his best. He's slowing down. I'm not giving him stick here because he's a bigger man. He's got the reach and he's got the ability. And I'm not saying he can't beat Usyk. I just personally don't think he does. I think Usyk's phenomenal. But it's good to get your take on it. And yeah, I agree with you. I think Usyk for the rematch, but we'll find out, won't we? We'll find out in December. If Tyson Fury turns up, I think he will. December, is it? Yeah, so it's been booked and everything, has it?
Yeah, it's happening in December. Yeah.
Oh, happy days! Yeah, I look forward to that.
And they'll be turning up. Tyson will turn up for the old Bunsen burner. It's big money, isn't it? Yeah, Saudi money. Yeah. He's not going to not show up. Right, we've got some questions from the people, so let's get into it. Kieran Craig asks, "What food have you eaten since the fight, and how quickly can you finish a large Domino's pizza?"
Oh, I've eaten a fair bit. To be fair, I'm actually back in the gym though. I just think. I eaten some shit for a couple of days, drank a few beers as you do, and then it's like what?
Now what?
You know yourself, like as a fighter, that's what we have going on. is training.
Yeah.
For like, I trained for this last fight for a solid 10, 12 weeks. And without that, I don't really have much else to do, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? I've done bits of media and stuff like that. I've eaten a bit of shit here and there, but I'm back in the gym, man. I've got some big fights coming up, so I've eaten a bit of shit here and there. I've smashed a couple of pizzas in, as you do. Bit of chips and all that. A few burgers, ice cream. But just for a few days, I'm back on the routine now, mate. I'm going to the gym shortly, so I'm not too bothered about all that kind of stuff anymore. I do all that stuff when I'm retired.
Anyway, Billy B asks, can we get Froch v Aspinall on the... What's that all about? Why has he put this in? Can we get Froch v Aspinall on the cobbles? I'll answer that one. No, we fucking can't.
You're already busy, mate, aren't you? Your big cobbles fight with AJ, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You've got big fish to fry. You and AJ on the cobbles.
Well, it was John Fury. Then it was Amir Khan got a bit of a roasting because he deserves it. And then, but yeah, obviously, listen, you guys are big lads. I'm not going to write myself off on the street against a boxer, but against somebody like you in the UFC, I'm not even going to go down there. Forget that question. Right, Blaine Dog asks, congratulations, Tom, on your career so far. What advice would you give to a 15-year-old who wants to start MMA? Oh, and how long do you think it will be before you fight in front of 80,000 fans at Wembley Stadium? Great channel.
You know what? We're trying to push for Wembley Stadium, but for some reason the UFC don't want to have it. I don't know why that is. They're against Wembley Stadium for some reason. I don't know. But advice would be, I think, to be good at any sport or anything, not even just sport, you need to enjoy it. I think that's what a lot of people are missing. I think they're taking themselves too serious, and I think that you don't make progress in anything, sport or otherwise, unless you're enjoying yourself. So I would say, don't force yourself to do nothing. If you want to go and do it, you'll go and do it. And if you don't want to do it, you'll do something else. So you shouldn't be needing to look for outside inspiration to do anything. Do you know what I mean? If you want to be good at it and you like it, you should have to work for it yourself and go and do it. So I don't really have much advice, to be honest, other than just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, good advice. Fair enough. I mean, like anything in life, if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll do it. You do it the best. Sometimes people might say, well, it's hard to enjoy it, but I did enjoy the training. I didn't particularly enjoy the build-up to the fight because I was quite nervous and I was put a lot of pressure on myself and I want to win. I never worried about getting hurt, but I just didn't want to lose, and the pressure of thinking about losing and that weight on your shoulders. But then, without that pressure, you know, you're not in a position where you're making big financial gains, you're not defending your world title. It's too easy. So the pressure comes as part of the job. So yeah, I agree with that. Try and enjoy it. My advice would be to make sure you fucking do the training now. You've got to be fit. You've got to be fit in pro boxing, and you have to be fit in mixed martial arts, any combat sport. Because when you guys go to the ground and you start wrestling and grappling, like I'd jump on the floor with my big brother, or even my son Rocco, who's only 14, and when you've been wrestling for 20 seconds and holding a headlock or trying to tense up, you're not breathing, all your body's stiff, and then you're like, all right, I'll do now, time out, I need a breather. And you guys go for 5-minute rounds. I mean, fucking hell, fitness has to be paramount. That'd be my advice to Sean. No, not Sean. That was Blaine Dog. Last one. Sean Barton asks, "What do you make of the? Is it the Mokaev?
Yeah. So do you know about this, Mohamed
Not
Mokaev?
really. No, my producer knows a lot more, but I'm asking you because obviously you know what's going on.
Yeah. So Mohamed Mokaev's a lad I've known since he was 12 years old. He's like he's in his early 20s now. I think he's like 23, 24. So on the weekend, he fought in the UFC, and him and his opponent had a lot of beef beforehand, and they were scrapping in the hotel before, and they had to get extra security on board and all the rest of it. Like some real stuff, and I heard some stories about kicking each other's hotel rooms when they're trying to sleep and kicking the doors down and all that shit. I don't even know what's happened, but these are just rumours. But anyway, the UFC he went in there, he won the fight, quite a boring fight to be honest with you, not a lot went on in the fight, you know, everyone thought it was going to be a big barnstormer because they had all this beef and stuff, and the UFC kicked him out, long story short. They don't want to re-sign him because of what's gone on. I think it's unfair, to be honest with you. I think it's unfair.
Mokaev's been kicked out.
Mokaev's been kicked out, yeah. They're not going to renew his contract because of the goings on in the hotel and backstage and all the rest of it. I mean, this has happened before, all this beef, you know, in the hotel and at the weigh-ins and all the rest of it. It's not the first time, so I think it's a bit unfair on him just to kick him out indefinitely. But
it does sound hard.
At the end of the day, I'm not the boss of the UFC, am I? So it's got absolutely nothing to do with me. I'm not running a multi-billion-dollar business. So I think it's a shame, but it's not really my call.
Fair enough. No, appreciate your take on that. Sounds good. Well, listen, I appreciate your time, so I'm not going to keep you too long. But every time I get a guest on, especially a special guest like you, I like to do a 12 rounds. So let's do 12 rounds with Tom Aspinall. And these are quick-fire questions, so don't worry. Short and sharp. What song can you listen to on repeat?
Oh, I do like Angels by Robbie Williams. It's quite timeless, that.
That might have you.
It's a good tune.
You might get some stick for that, Tom.
I don't mind. Give me all the stick you want. You know, that's one of them tunes that don't matter where it's on. I'll sing along to it. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a timeless one. I don't mind that.
Bit of a soft one, that is. You're sitting there with that smile on your face that don't go away. You're talking about the Angels song. I'm seeing a different side to you. It's
bit fruity, mate, over here.
It's not what I expected, but no, I'll go with that. Right, question number 2. Fill in the gap. Michael Bisping is?
UK MMA legend.
Yeah, I'll go with that. It's my inspiration actually for this channel as well, watching what he was doing with the UFC. Obviously, UFC is bigger globally than boxing, in my opinion. It's just massive, especially in America. It's huge. But what Michael Bisping's doing, I think, is brilliant. So you got him down as a legend. So yeah, I expected you to say that. Good answer. Who wins? Number 3. Who wins? Khabib or Islam?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually think Islam might take it. I think he's a bit of a better striker. I think he's a more dangerous striker. I think grappling-wise, they're very similar. But I reckon Islam might take that.
I thought Khabib had retired. Obviously, I'm
getting. He has. Khabib's Islam's coach.
Retired. Okay.
Now. Khabib's now Islam's coach or training partner or something. It's something to do with his team, but he has retired. Yeah, but I think the question is obviously when they're both in the prime, isn't it? I would imagine.
Right.
So I would say
that's a big
Islam's
shout.
a little bit better.
Big shout. Right, number 4. How many pull-ups can you do straight off in a row? Mind you're a big lad, so.
I'm a big lad. You know, I've got a mate who's a bodybuilder, and he's like my weight, and he can't do pull-ups, which I was quite surprised with. I can probably do body weight pull-ups probably about 15, I would say.
15 straight through.
I'd say so, yeah.
That's not bad. I'm on about 25, but don't worry about what I can do.
Yeah, but you're little, aren't you? You got little arms.
Yeah, but I put a 20 kilo strap around my waist.
Yeah, you can't do 25 with a bloody 25 reps with a 20 kilo strap.
I'm not going to lie to you. No, I can do 10. I can do 10 with a 20 kilo strap to me.
It's good going.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not going to get into a macho argument with you. Not after I've seen you demolish that kid in 60 seconds the other day. What we got here? If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleporting from one place to another, so you don't have to get on any planes or nothing like that.
You know what?
Just
I hate travelling.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just go boom straight across the world like that.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. That's a good superpower. Who's the best MMA fighter of all time?
GSP. You familiar with him?
No.
Oh, you need to get to know George St. Pierre. Yeah, in my opinion, he's the best of all time. In my opinion.
Anderson Silva was popping in my head from back in the day, but is he not? Is that different?
Yeah,
level?
he was great. I really like Anderson Silva, but he was also failing a lot of drug tests.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, so I don't really like that. As soon as someone starts failing drug tests, that's a red flag in my mind.
Fair enough. So your best all time was, again, can you just repeat that for me, please?
GSP, George St. Pierre.
What is your favourite breakfast?
I like a full English, you know.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have it all the time, obviously, because that's, it's not great, but yeah, I do like a fry up and that, yeah. If I'm not fighting or whatever, I do like one.
Fair enough. Ricky Anton likes a fry up. I don't mind it. I like loads of scrambled eggs and poached eggs and avocado and healthy shit like that.
I do like a thing, they're called Eggs Benedict. They're good, aren't they?
Yeah, on a muffin.
They're right.
Yeah, poached egg with a bit of, is it a bit of ham or a bit of bacon? Depends where you are, doesn't it? Where you are in the world. Right, next one. Question number 8. Who is the better promoter? Dana White or Eddie Hearn?
Mate, I do like Eddie Hearn, but I don't think you can compare to what Dana White's done for the UFC.
Do you? What do you like about Eddie Hearn?
I just like the way he goes on in interviews and that.
Yeah,
I think he's quite funny. I mean, I don't know him personally. I never actually met him.
Well. He does talk well. But Dana White, in terms of promoting and what he's done for UFC, you've got him as the main man, yeah?
Yeah, and I think Eddie Hearn would say the same. I've seen him say that before in interviews and that as well. I mean, like I say, I don't know Eddie Hearn at all. I've never met him. I know he's been to a couple of my fights because I've seen him on the videos in the crowd and that.
Yeah.
But I just feel like he's someone I could get on with. Do you know what I mean? On a personal level.
Yeah. Let's not slag him because you might get that Saudi payday one day. Let's keep him on side.
Yeah, keep him on side. Keep him sweet, mate. Yeah.
I'm hoping he can get me and Jake Paul in Saudi one day. You never know. I don't think Jake Paul's got the bollocks though, to be honest. What would happen if I fought Jake Paul? Am I deluded, or do you think it would be a one-round job?
If you want my honest opinion, I think you're above that. I don't think you should do it.
Yeah, but they're all bunts.
You got enough money, surely.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And I wouldn't want to get punched in the head by anybody who could seriously punch, because obviously my health's more important than anything. But I just think Jake Paul, fucking easy work, mate. It's not even a fight.
He's not. Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, he is better than I originally thought. Yeah. But if you compare him to like an actual boxing world champion, he's got
an actual boxing world champion or an actual boxer.
Yeah, he's no chance, is he?
He's struggling, isn't he? Right, what food would you eat if you could only choose one thing for the rest of your life? Back on the food now.
Oh. It depends though. Under what circumstances? Like, are you just eating it to enjoy it, or are you trying to like live a healthy lifestyle and that?
I think I'd go for a steak. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would as well.
Nice ribeye steak, just good for you. Get it down, yeah. Would you say yours would be steak, would it?
Yeah, same, mate, same. Yeah. It never gets boring, does it?
No, it doesn't, to be honest. If it does get a bit boring, just get a bit of English mustard on it, a bit more salt.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, what's the next one? Oh, no. You might give us a song, actually. What's your karaoke song? Have you got one?
No, I'm not big on the karaoke, mate. I just watch. I'm not really big.
You never jump on the old karaoke and have a little...
I mean, I've jumped on in the past, but I'm not...
There we go.
I'm not regular. I'm not... Angels by Robbie Williams.
Angels by Robbie Williams.
Timeless,
I forgot how that goes, actually. I know the song, but I forgot how it goes.
Oh, it's classic. Classic.
Go on, I think, just give me a little reminder.
No, you don't need reminded by me. I don't want to kill it.
Something like, I am loving angels instead. That's the one, isn't it?
That's the one.
You're not going, are you? You're not playing, are you?
I'm not having it.
Who wins on the cobbles? 12th and final question. Who wins on the cobbles? The Cobra or Conor McGregor? He's looking tonk at the minute as well, isn't he? He's looking big.
Mate, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to say that McGregor would do you here, mate.
You think he'd do me on the street?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you think that? In the cage he does me, but on the street, you're negating a lot of the holds with... You don't forget, you can gouge and you can bite. So you negate a lot of that.
Yeah, but I know, but he can gouge and bite you as well, though.
Yeah, but he won't be able to get me in the silly locks. He's going to have to let go. Now, if it's in the cage and he gets me in some mad trap and locks me up, I'm going to be fucked. But on the street, I'm fucking him up, surely.
Yeah, but what if he gets you in a mad trap and you can't move, and then he starts biting you and gouging you, and you don't know how to escape it?
Oh, yeah. You're back in the UFC, aren't you? I see what you're doing here.
Yeah, well, I'm just being honest. That's all.
Me and you was getting on great right up until this point, and we fucking ruined it. Nah, listen, I'll take that. I don't want to be fighting with anyone on the cobbles or in the bloody squared circle either. But no, thanks for your time, mate. It's been fun. I think the fans, the UFC fans and the boxing fans will both appreciate it. Congratulations on Saturday night. Absolutely brilliant. And I hope you get your fight with Jon Jones. And if he vacates or whatever happens, then you've got the UFC heavyweight bona fide champion written all over you, because what I'm seeing and what you're doing in the sport is just brilliant. It's phenomenal. It's looking great, and I'm a massive fan, and I'd love to come to your next fight. I'd love to be part. My producer will sort it. Will come. Well, I mean, you was Manchester, weren't you, on Saturday? Yeah. So I'm gonna get involved, but appreciate having you on. Absolutely loved it, and hopefully I'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So that's it for another episode of Froch on Fighting. I tell you what, I really enjoyed that. I could have had 2 hours with him chatting away. There's so many bits and bobs I wanted to get into with the crossover between boxing and UFC. But what a cool guy Tom Aspinall is. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been another episode of Froch on Fighting, and I'll see you next time.